Okay. So ravens also sound really different than crows. So location. I already talked about where we are here at the estuary, sort of the Fifth and Grove overlooking the marsh and the upland habitat there. It looks kind of like a field. So some crows will migrate. They're not keen on deserts or really heavy forests. They're absent from the tundra habitat. But they are permanent residents here in San Diego, and you're going to see them everywhere, like trees, telephone wires, roads, fields, dumps, parks, marshes, beaches, and your own backyard. Hi, Juanita. They thrive around people, and I think that's mostly because we're kind of messy. You're also going to hear them, okay? So you might hear them before you even notice them. They have 20 different calls, surprisingly. Mostly we hear that caw, caw, caw that goes on and on. But they do have different calls that are different lengths and quality. So they have a lot of odd noises like clicks and rattles, and they do a lot of counter singing with their neighbors. And the babies make little gurgling sounds. Hi, Jose. So unlike most songbirds, the male and the female sing the same songs. So they're not different. Now, in captivity, crows can actually talk. In the wild, they will sort of do some mimicking other birds, but in captivity they can talk. I don't know if they can talk as much as a parrot, but they can talk. So let's talk about what they eat, because you're also going to see them on the ground. They mainly feed on the ground. They are omnivores, scavengers, and very opportunistic. So basically they eat nearly everything, alive or dead. So they eat rodents, reptiles, amphibians, fish, small birds, aquatic insects, earthworms, fruit, seeds, nuts. They only eat a small amount of carrion, which is dead things. And the reason is they have to wait for another animal to tear the dead thing open, because they only have that teeny hook on their beak. So they're not really, cut out for that, but they do it anyway. So I didn't mention eggs, and I'm sure you guys all know that they are nest predators, nest robbers, which is not the sweet side of crows. But many birds are, seagulls, most of the larger birds, even little birds, they go around poking holes in things. Hey, Jerry. Poking holes in other birds' eggs and stuff like that, pushing them out of the nest. So it's just a bird thing. As far as grain goes, they do eat grain, and they are considered an agricultural pest. But you got to consider that the damage to the crops is sort of offset by the fact that they eat a lot of insect pests. And garbage and compost, they'll get into that. But they can remember the route of the garbage truck, so sometimes you'll see them follow it. And you may see that babies, usually babies, sometimes big crows, but when you see babies in the road, they're learning to time the traffic light or time vehicles so that they know how to get down there and pick up carrion. Crows are also, because they're corvids, like scrub jays, other jays, they're all known for distracting other animals and stealing their food. So they're very smart, and they hide their food in catches. And if you want to learn more about that, watch the episode on scrub jays, because I went into quite a bit of detail on that episode. So by now you're beginning to realize just how fascinating they are. And they actually have the brains of a 4-year-old, okay? Ravens have the brains of a 6-year-old. So they have the same brain weight to body ratio as humans do. And so they're really inquisitive, mischievous, they're really quick to solve problems, they can use tools. And what I find really fascinating is that you can get on their good list or their bad list, because they remember faces. And so never mind Santa, you can be on their naughty or nice list too. And they will pass that information down to their next generation. Now I have a story for you guys, because in my backyard there was a baby crow once. And he or she kept trying to fly and falling into bushes that he couldn't get out of. So I was picking him up and putting him up on the art studio. And finally he was able to fly. Well, the parents were, of course, screaming at me the whole time. And then for about a week, every time I went outside my house, they would follow me. It was like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. And I thought, oh no, I'm on their bad list. But no, one day, as I walked out the front door, they dropped a half of a rabbit at my feet, which I think was a gift. And after that, they didn't follow me and caw at me anymore. So I think I'm on their good list. And there's a lot of stories too. I think you can probably Google this about crows that will trade things with people, like little shiny objects, and you leave something for them and then they can leave something for you. They do another very strange thing, and it's called anting. So they position themselves over an anthill and let the ants crawl all over them. And I don't know why. So let's talk a little bit more about their sweet side, as promised. It's mainly because they're so social, you know, and they're rarely seen alone, and they have these really strong family bonds. And it looks like they just really enjoy each other's company. So the family unit can be the mom and dad and the offspring all the way up to 5 different breeding years. So a family unit could be as many as like 15 birds. And they do this thing called allopreening, which is cute to watch. It's like grooming. They groom each other, and it's like a massage, I guess. It reinforces the pair bond, the family bond, and the flock bond. And it's usually around the head and the neck, and it probably helps remove parasites. Let me show you a photo here. I forgot to show you this photo. Okay, this is anting, right? Can you see him or her getting covered in ants? Interesting. Okay, next picture. Here's a nest. Okay. So both parents build the nest, and they have 3 to 9 blue eggs with brown splotches, 1 to 2 broods. Takes about 3 weeks to incubate and about a month to fledge. Now the babies, I'll just show you this picture because they're pretty cute. There they are in their nest. Probably a rare moment of quiet. This is the one I really want to show you guys. Here's a baby. So the babies look just like the parents. They're pretty big, but they have blue eyes, and the corner of their bill is pink. And they're very cute, chasing their parents around, begging. So I have another little story for you. Hi, Angel. Hi, Mary. And that is, somebody brought in a baby crow. And I tried to get them to take it back where they found it, because parents will, you know, train the baby on the ground for a period of time. And, you know, it's always better with the parents, especially because crows live a long time and they need their whole family. Anyway, this baby, they didn't take it back. They were worried about cats, and cats are usually afraid of crows. But I took it to Project Wildlife, but before, you know, it was many hours before I got off work. And so I fed it some scrambled eggs. And my point is, you know, most animals will not eat from you, but a baby crow is like a little pig, and they just beg and squawk and beg. Any parent will do, apparently. Just feed me. Okay, so these babies could, once they fledge, they are able to breed at 2 years of age, but they rarely breed until they're 4. And the reason is something called cooperative breeding. So they like to stay close to their birthplace, and they will stay at home with the family unit. And it's not a free ride. They have to help raise the nestlings of the next generation and the fledglings, and help defend from predators and find food. So they all work together just like a family. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a crow funeral, but crows do another thing in a unit. Like if they find one of their dead crow friends, they all gather around, and scrub jays do that too, and they actually appear to be mourning for a couple of days. So that's kind of sweet too. So in addition to their family group, they also flock in the winter. Okay, so they will gather in the evenings at a special place and sleep in a communal roost. And some of these roosts have been around for 100 years, and they can be as big as 1,000 crows. And I think if you go somewhere out by the Bonita Mall, there's a huge roost. We don't have a roost here. And while they roost, they still maintain their territory, their family territory, and spend part of the day with their family. And then when the family goes together to these flocks, once they're there, they don't stay together. Once they're in the crowded flock, they don't stay with each other. And then they go home again to their own territory, to their own nest area. And there's a third social group called a floater flock. And a floater flock is up to 50 birds. And they're mostly birds that lack mates. And they roam around looking for mates, maybe looking for territories. And it allows them to stay safe in a group. So, again, almost always together. Crows, as we all know, can be aggressive, okay? So you'll see them chasing large birds like, you know, hawks and owls and herons. It's called a mob. So if one crow discovers a threat, they will all get together and mob it. And a hawk is a threat. So it pays to listen to crows, because when they really start shrieking, something is going on. A group of crows is called a murder of crows. And you know how stories go. They all have a little bit of murder and betrayal if they're going to be really interesting. Now, often they're portrayed as a harbinger of death, but Native Americans in a lot of those stories, they are often symbols of wisdom and transformation. So, you know, it's a different way to look at crows. As far as predators of crows, it's the red-tailed hawks, the horned owls, raccoons. Humans are allowed to hunt them certain places, certain times, because they're a nuisance. They're considered a nuisance. Also cats, snakes. Crows are very susceptible to West Nile. Remember West Nile from the mosquitoes? They will usually die of it, and other birds don't seem to. So that makes them a useful bioindicator to track the spread of West Nile. Their lifespan is about 20 years in the wild, like up to 20. And there was a captive bird that was recorded as living to be 59, which I don't know if that's true, but that's a long life. But, you know, 20 for sure. Michael says he's seen a large communal roost in the lower Sorrento Valley. He says it's a couple of thousands of birds in the winter. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That seems like the perfect place for a roost. So let me see if I have any other pictures for you guys. Oh, I've got a good one to end on. And there it is. Anybody my age will recognize Heckle and Jekyll. A perfect name for crows. Okay, so remember, crows have a sweet side. And, you know, that nest robbing and some of the other things that they do, many birds do. And I guess that's about all I've got to tell you about crows today. Just remember, they have a sweet side. I'll show you that baby one more time. Actually, he looks like kind of a stinker, doesn't he? All right. See you next time. Thanks for joining in. Sorry, you know, you're going to have to watch the beginning. So there's an A and a B episode. But I think it did a little better than usual. All right. See you later.